The Nursing Spewer represents a fascinating yet grotesque example of Terminid evolution, straddling the line between a biological weapon and a reproductive unit within the hive. Unlike some of its more heavily armored or physically aggressive kin, this creature's primary function seems to be a mix of defense and reproduction. While some speculate that it is a subadult form of the bile spewer, others believe it to be a gravid female tasked with sustaining the next generation of Terminids. Whatever the case, its biology and behavior make it a unique threat on the battlefield, and a crucial piece in the broader understanding of the Terminid war machine. The origins of the Nursing Spewer are intertwined with those of the bile spewer, and both share a close evolutionary history. It is likely that they are variations of the same species, adapted for slightly different roles within the hive. Whereas the bile spewer is a relentless ranged attacker, capable of spitting highly toxic bile with terrifying accuracy, the Nursing Spewer seems to have evolved to play a more passive but no less deadly role. Its attacks are somewhat slower and less precise, but it compensates with its ability to spread a toxic mist wherever it goes, creating an environment that is hostile to helldivers and other enemies. Its role in the ecosystem is also worth noting. Unlike some Terminids that operate purely as hunters or territorial enforcers, the Nursing Spewer appears to serve a reproductive function, nurturing and possibly incubating eggs within its distended abdomen. These eggs, if left undisturbed, may hatch into new Terminids, replenishing the swarm. This reproductive cycle suggests that Nursing Spewers are critical to the long-term survival of the hive, acting as mobile brood chambers that ensure a steady supply of reinforcements. This also raises an interesting question. Are these creatures purely reproductive, or do they play a secondary role as caretakers, possibly even tending to larvae or assisting in the growth of newly hatched Terminids? Biologically, the Nursing Spewer is a disturbing specimen. Its body is moderately large, with light armor covering its limbs and torso, giving it some resilience against small arms fire, but leaving it vulnerable to concentrated attacks. Its head, which serves as its primary weak spot, is relatively unprotected, making it an easy target for skilled marksmen. The most distinctive feature of the Nursing Spewer, however, is its abdomen, which is grotesquely swollen with a mixture of acidic pus and eggs. This mass is highly volatile and will explode when struck, releasing its contents in a deadly burst that can take out nearby helldivers and other Terminids alike. The composition of its bile is another crucial aspect of its biology. While the bile of a standard bile spewer is known to be highly corrosive and capable of melting armor, the bile produced by the Nursing Spewer is slightly different. It is still dangerous, but it lacks the same level of concentrated toxicity, suggesting that its primary purpose is not direct combat, but rather the protection of its reproductive functions. This bile also contributes to the noxious yellow fog that surrounds the Nursing Spewer, a constant environmental hazard that can impair visibility and make close-quarters combat especially dangerous. The Nursing Spewer's behavior is indicative of its role within the Terminid hierarchy. It does not operate as an independent hunter like the bile spewer, but is instead frequently found in the company of other Terminids, particularly scavengers. This suggests that it is not an elite frontline fighter, but rather a support unit, relying on other Terminids for protection. Despite its large size and unsettling appearance, it is not particularly aggressive and will not pursue helldivers as relentlessly as other Terminid classes. However, when provoked, it becomes a formidable adversary, spewing its bile with deadly accuracy and exploding in a final act of defiance when killed. From a tactical standpoint, dealing with Nursing Spewers requires careful planning. Their relatively light armor makes them vulnerable to standard-issue weapons, but their explosive nature means that reckless shooting can be as dangerous as it is effective. The best strategy is to target their heads, eliminating them before they have a chance to release their bile or detonate upon death. Explosive weapons such as grenades, railguns, and high-caliber rifles are particularly effective, as they can kill the Nursing Spewer instantly and trigger a chain reaction if multiple are present. This makes orbital strikes and area of effect attacks especially valuable when dealing with groups of Nursing Spewers. The significance of the Nursing Spewer extends beyond its combat capabilities. Its role in the larger Terminid war effort makes it a priority target for helldivers. as eliminating these creatures can slow down the enemy's reproductive cycle and reduce the overall number of Terminids on the battlefield. However, this raises another question. If the Nursing Spewer is indeed a breeding unit, could its continued extermination lead to an evolutionary response from the Terminids? Could we see the emergence of even more resilient and dangerous reproductive variants, possibly ones with enhanced armor, deadlier bile, or more effective defensive capabilities? Ultimately, the Nursing Spewer is both a symbol of the Terminids' relentless adaptation and a reminder of the ongoing challenge faced by Helldivers. It is not the most powerful or fearsome enemy, but its presence on the battlefield is a clear sign that the war against the bugs is not just about killing. It is also about disrupting their ability to replace their losses. Understanding the Nursing Spewer's biology, behavior, and weaknesses is critical to ensuring that Super Earth remains one step ahead in this endless conflict. The Nursing Spewer is a grotesque yet fascinating example of Terminid biology, displaying a unique morphology that sets it apart from other members of the species while retaining key similarities with its close relative, the bile spewer. This moderately large insectoid creature possesses a heavily swollen abdomen filled with eggs and toxic bile, giving it a bloated and sluggish appearance compared to more agile Terminids. Its exoskeleton is a mix of brown and yellow-orange tones, a coloration that may serve as a form of warning or recognition among the hive. Unlike the bile spewer, which is heavily armored, the Nursing Spewer has a relatively lighter exoskeleton, making it more vulnerable to sustained gunfire, but still resistant to certain types of attacks. The exoskeleton itself is composed of a tough, yet flexible chitinous material, providing a degree of protection while allowing mobility. It is most reinforced around the upper torso and head, where plates of armor like chitin serve as a natural shield against direct attacks. However, this protection is considerably weaker than that of larger Terminids, meaning that concentrated fire can break through with relative ease. The abdomen, while massive and visually intimidating, lacks significant reinforcement and is instead a large, pulsating sac of biological fluid. This makes it highly vulnerable to weapons fire, as a well-placed shot can cause a violent rupture, releasing acidic pus and eggs in a deadly explosion. Structurally, the Nursing Spewer's limbs are well adapted for slow, deliberate movement. It possesses 6 legs, each ending in a clawed appendage that allows it to traverse rough terrain. Unlike more agile Terminids, which use their limbs for rapid movement or direct combat, the Nursing Spewer's legs seem to prioritize stability over speed, likely due to the heavy burden of its swollen abdomen. It is not built for chasing prey, but rather for holding its ground, using its acidic bile as a ranged defense mechanism. Its front limbs, while somewhat more articulated than the others, lack the dexterity required for complex object manipulation, suggesting that this species relies more on brute force than precision. The Nursing Spewer's sensory organs are adapted for close-quarters awareness rather than long-range tracking. Its vision is relatively poor compared to other Terminids, with small, beady eyes that likely detect movement and light changes rather than detailed images. However, it compensates with an advanced olfactory system, capable of detecting Helldivers through scent and pheromone traces. This allows it to respond to nearby threats, even if it cannot directly see them. While it is unclear whether the Nursing Spewer possesses a form of telepathic connection with other Terminids, its ability to coordinate with nearby scavengers suggests some level of pheromone-based communication, allowing it to alert others when it senses danger. Internally, the Nursing Spewer has a specialized digestive and circulatory system designed to process and store large amounts of bile. The primary digestive organ appears to be a large, fluid-filled stomach, where bile is synthesized and stored before being regurgitated as a weapon. This bile is not as immediately lethal as the concentrated acid spewed by its bile spewer cousins, but it is still highly corrosive and can cause severe damage over time. The circulatory system is relatively simple, with a decentralized network of blood vessels that distribute nutrients throughout the body. The heart, if it possesses one in a recognizable form, is likely a primitive muscular pump rather than a complex organ. The most significant weak spot on the Nursing Spewer is its head. Unlike its abdomen, which is a volatile but indirect means of attack, the head is a direct and vulnerable target. A well-placed shot to the face can neutralize the creature instantly, making it the preferred point of attack for Helldivers. The abdomen itself, while explosive, can also be targeted for strategic advantage, as its rupture can damage nearby Terminids and create chaos on the battlefield. However, this also poses a risk to Helldivers, as standing too close to an exploding Nursing Spewer can result in a swift and gruesome demise. In conclusion, the Nursing Spewer is a biologically specialized Terminid, uniquely adapted for both reproduction and ranged defense. Its lighter armor makes it more vulnerable than heavily plated Terminids, but its ability to release toxic bile and explode upon death makes it a dangerous opponent. Understanding its anatomy and weak points is crucial for any Helldiver hoping to survive an encounter with these creatures, and proper tactics must be employed to minimize risk while maximizing damage. The daily life and behavior of the Nursing Spewer are deeply intertwined with the broader Terminid hive structure, where each species serves a specific role in the relentless war machine of the insectoid swarm. Unlike more aggressive frontline Terminids, such as the warrior or the charger, the Nursing Spewer is not built for direct combat, but instead plays a vital support role within the hive. It functions primarily as a reproductive and defensive unit, responsible for nurturing the next generation of Terminids, while also providing a toxic deterrent against Helldivers and other external threats. In terms of hunting and defense, the Nursing Spewer is not an active predator like some other Terminid forms. It does not stalk prey or engage in coordinated attacks, but rather relies on its ability to spew acidic bile as a defensive mechanism. When a Helldiver is detected, the Nursing Spewer will immediately respond by vomiting a corrosive, yellow-orange fluid in their direction. This bile is not as potent as the projectile attacks of the bile spewer, but it is still capable of inflicting serious damage over time. The bile is designed not only to injure intruders, but also to create hazardous zones, forcing enemies to retreat or slow down, making them easy targets for more aggressive Terminid units. Despite its defensive nature, the Nursing Spewer is not a passive creature. It will advance toward threats if necessary, though its movement is slow and cumbersome due to its massive egg-filled abdomen. In battle, it is often accompanied by scavengers, smaller and more mobile Terminids, that help defend it from direct attacks. These scavengers appear to act as caretakers, either protecting the Nursing Spewer or assisting in the transport and distribution of its eggs. This suggests a level of social hierarchy within the hive, where certain Terminids play specific roles in supporting reproduction and colony expansion. The Nursing Spewer's place in the Terminid hierarchy is somewhat ambiguous. While some speculate that it is a subadult form of the bile spewer, others believe it to be a distinct reproductive caste, possibly a gravid female responsible for laying eggs that will eventually hatch into new Terminids. It does not appear to be a high-ranking member of the hive like the Brood Commander or the Alpha Warrior, but it does serve a crucial function. Unlike purely combat-focused Terminids, which exist solely to engage enemies, the Nursing Spewer contributes to the long-term survival of the species by ensuring a steady supply of new Terminids. The life cycle of the Nursing Spewer is a topic of considerable debate among xenobiologists. If it is indeed a gravid female, then its role is likely temporary, serving as a mobile incubation unit before eventually depositing its eggs in a secure location. Once the eggs hatch, the Nursing Spewer may either return to a more aggressive state, akin to a bile spewer, or it may perish, having fulfilled its reproductive function. Alternatively, if it is simply a subadult form of the bile spewer, then it may undergo further metamorphosis, shedding its reproductive role in favor of a more aggressive, acid-spewing attack form. Regardless of its exact life cycle, the Nursing Spewer represents an essential element of Terminid swarm tactics. It is not simply another expendable drone, but a specialized unit designed to ensure the long-term sustainability of the hive. Its ability to spew bile serves both an immediate defensive function and a broader strategic purpose, as its toxic emissions can weaken enemy forces while also signaling the presence of Helldivers to other Terminids. This dual role, both as a defender and a breeder, makes the Nursing Spewer a uniquely dangerous opponent, one that should not be underestimated despite its relatively fragile armor and slow movement. In conclusion, the Nursing Spewer embodies the Terminid philosophy of relentless expansion and adaptation. It does not hunt in the traditional sense, nor does it serve as a frontline warrior, but it plays an equally important role by ensuring that the hive continues to grow and spread. Its presence on the battlefield signals not just an immediate threat, but a long-term danger, as every Nursing Spewer left alive represents a potential surge of new Terminid reinforcements. For helldivers, understanding and eliminating these creatures is crucial, as failure to do so may result in an overwhelming infestation that could spiral out of control. The Nursing Spewer, a medium-sized terminid, plays a crucial role in the ecosystem of the Terminid hive. This species, a likely variation of the bile spewer, has adapted to its role as a reproductive and defensive unit within the Terminid swarm. While not as aggressive as some other Terminids, its primary function revolves around the survival of the hive by ensuring the next generation. Its survival strategies are multifaceted, relying on its defensive mechanisms, reproductive capabilities, and the network of relationships within the Terminid hive, as well as its interactions with other factions such as humans and cyborgs. In terms of adaptation to environmental changes, the Nursing Spewer's biological and behavioral traits are perfectly suited to ensure its survival in hostile and ever-changing environments. The species' ability to defend itself using its acidic bile is one of its primary survival tactics. This bile is not only a weapon, but also serves as a deterrent, creating toxic zones that slow down and damage any potential threats. These defensive capabilities are especially important as the Nursing Spewer carries a large number of eggs, which must be protected at all costs. The spewer's slow movement and relatively light armor suggest that it is less concerned with direct combat and more focused on protecting its eggs, ensuring the continuity of its species. When outside the safe environments of Terminid-controlled zones, such as Super-Earth's E710 farms, Terminids, Nursing Spewers included, form a crude fascistic hierarchy that is based on the genetic makeup and roles within the swarm. Certain Terminids, such as the Brood and Alpha Commanders, appear to have a rudimentary form of command over others, using pheromones to issue basic instructions. However, this command structure is fragile, as the presence of enemies like helldivers causes the Terminids to abandon their strategic formations and attack mindlessly. The Nursing Spewer, like many Terminids, is a part of this hierarchy and would typically serve the queen or the alpha commander, protecting the eggs it carries and ensuring that the species thrives by contributing to the reproductive cycle. The interaction between the Nursing Spewer and other Terminids within the hive is characterized by a system of mutual support and protection. The Nursing Spewer's primary concern is the safety of its eggs, and it is not uncommon to see other Terminids, such as scavengers, working alongside it to shield the Nursing Spewer from external threats. The swarm's cooperative nature ensures that each Terminid can fulfill its role, whether it's in defense, offense, or reproduction, while ensuring the hive's survival. In this context, the Nursing Spewer's role as a reproductive unit is vital to the overall functioning of the Terminid population. However, when confronted by external factions like humans and cyborgs, the Nursing Spewer's defensive behavior becomes critical. While it is not as combat-oriented as the bile spewer or other aggressive Terminids, the Nursing Spewer's ability to spew toxic bile is still a formidable deterrent to any approaching helldivers or cyborgs. The bile causes slow, continuous damage to anything caught in its cloud, which buys the Nursing Spewer enough time to retreat or seek protection from its allies. However, its slow speed and light armor mean that it is particularly vulnerable to direct attacks if not adequately protected. Cyborgs, with their advanced weaponry and precise targeting systems, pose a significant threat to the Nursing Spewer. The spewer's defensive capabilities are not sufficient to withstand the sheer firepower of these advanced machines. Yet the bile cloud it emits can still affect cyborgs, interfering with their movement and limiting their ability to effectively target the Nursing Spewer. Still, this species often finds itself at a disadvantage when facing such technologically superior adversaries. In contrast, the helldivers, with their varied arsenals, also present a challenge. While the Nursing Spewer's acidic bile can cause some damage and disrupt their movements, it is not enough to ward off a determined assault. However, its ability to spew bile in a wide radius creates dangerous zones that make it difficult for helldivers to approach without taking damage. This forces helldivers to adopt more tactical approaches when engaging with the Nursing Spewer, often needing to outmaneuver it or eliminate it from a distance. The Nursing Spewer's defense mechanisms and escape tactics further emphasize its role as a survivalist within the Terminid swarm. When threatened, it relies on its bile attack to disorient and damage enemies. While it is not as effective in combat as other Terminids, its primary purpose is to survive and protect the eggs it carries. If the Nursing Spewer is engaged in a direct fight, Its main goal is to delay the enemy long enough for it to escape or for other Terminids to come to its aid. In a worst-case scenario, it will try to retreat to a more defensible position, relying on the cover of nearby Terminids or terrain to shield itself from further attacks. The eggs inside its abdomen also serve as a fallback strategy. Even if the Nursing Spewer is killed, the eggs can still hatch and ensure the continuity of the species. This form of reproductive resilience is one of the key strategies for the Terminid swarm to survive in harsh environments. Despite its slower pace and less robust armor, the Nursing Spewer has a unique form of self-preservation. Its slow movement and ability to create toxic areas make it a powerful deterrent in defensive situations. Its interactions with other Terminids and factions allow it to fulfill its purpose as a breeder and protector of the next generation. If faced with overwhelming odds, the Nursing Spewer can rely on its allies to provide cover or create an opening for escape. Though it is not the most aggressive Terminid, its role in sustaining the Terminid hive and ensuring the continuation of its lineage is essential for the survival of the species. Its ability to adapt to environmental changes, its effective defense mechanisms, and its reproductive strategies ensure that the Nursing Spewer will continue to be a vital part of the Terminid swarm for the foreseeable future. The Nursing Spewer, while not as aggressive as other Terminids, is still a formidable threat to Helldivers, especially when encountered in the right conditions. Its primary mode of defense, spewing acidic bile, can make close encounters deadly, particularly in confined spaces where Helldivers have limited mobility. The bile attack serves both as an area denial and a damage over time effect, which, when used effectively, can severely hinder the movement and effectiveness of any Helldiver caught in its path. The acid bile is particularly dangerous when combined with the Nursing Spewer's ability to create toxic clouds that linger in the environment, creating hazardous zones that can make approaching the creature a deadly challenge. The Nursing Spewer's attack pattern is fairly straightforward. It will attempt to spray bile at Helldivers, aiming for direct hits or spraying in the general vicinity of its target. The bile projectile is not as fast or precise as some other Terminid attacks, but it covers a significant area, making it difficult for Helldivers to avoid if they are too close. The projectile, once it hits its target, causes a slow but continuous damage effect, making it a persistent threat. The bile is corrosive, eating away at the Helldiver's armor and health over time, forcing them to react quickly or risk significant damage. This is especially troublesome in prolonged encounters where multiple Nursing Spewers are present, as the overlapping effects of their bile can create a nearly impenetrable barrier for Helldivers. One of the key weaknesses of the Nursing Spewer is its light armor. Unlike some of the more heavily armored Terminids, the Nursing Spewer has a relatively weaker defensive shell. This makes it more vulnerable to conventional weapons and high-impact fire. In-game encounters have shown that the Nursing Spewer can be dispatched quickly with a well-placed shot to the head, or by using explosives to target its weak spots. Weapons such as the AR-23 Liberator or the G16 Impact Grenade can deal significant damage to the Nursing Spewer, especially when aimed at its vulnerable areas. A direct shot to the head is highly effective in bringing down the creature quickly, making precision targeting a crucial strategy when engaging with this Terminid. In fact, one well-placed grenade or a burst of rifle fire can eliminate the Nursing Spewer, often causing it to explode and potentially damage nearby Terminids in the process. However, its ability to emit a persistent toxic cloud complicates things for Helldivers attempting to engage from a distance. While the cloud can be dissipated by killing the Nursing Spewer, its presence forces Helldivers to think carefully about how to approach the creature. The best countermeasure to this is to use ranged weaponry, such as railguns or anti-materiel rifles, which allow the Helldiver to engage from a safe distance without being forced into the cloud of bile. The RS-422 railgun, for instance, can eliminate the Nursing Spewer with a single headshot, bypassing much of the danger of its toxic cloud. However, this requires precision and quick reflexes, as the Nursing Spewer may move or reposition before the Helldiver has a chance to aim properly. When multiple Nursing Spewers appear together, the threat becomes even more pronounced. The bile clouds they emit can overlap, creating a hazardous environment that slows and damages Helldivers, while their combined attacks create a web of toxicity that is hard to avoid. In such cases, Helldivers should prioritize crowd control tactics, explosives like the G16 Impact Grenade, or weapons with a wide area of effect, such as the GL-21 grenade launcher, can prove extremely effective in dealing with groups of nursing spewers. The explosion not only kills the nursing spewer, but can trigger a chain reaction, killing other nearby terminids as well. This is particularly important when dealing with large swarms of terminids, where the Helldiver's primary goal is to quickly neutralize as many threats as possible. Despite its somewhat low offensive capability compared to other terminids, the nursing spewer can still be a significant danger if not properly countered. Its ability to produce toxic bile clouds makes it difficult for Helldivers to approach without taking damage, and its high health means it can absorb a fair amount of punishment before going down. However, its light armor and relatively slow movement make it less of a threat in terms of speed and agility, meaning that Helldivers can usually avoid the worst of its attacks with careful positioning and quick reflexes. In conclusion, the nursing spewer is a dangerous terminid that requires careful tactics and precision to defeat. Its defensive tactics, acidy bile attacks, combined with the toxic cloud it creates, make it a serious threat in confined spaces or when encountered in groups. However, with the right tools and strategies, it can be neutralized effectively. Weapons that deal high damage to its head, as well as explosives and area of effect weapons, should be prioritized when facing this terminid. Additionally, maintaining distance and avoiding the toxic clouds is key to minimizing damage while engaging. By keeping these factors in mind, Helldivers can increase their chances of survival when confronting this particular species within the terminid swarm. The nursing spewer is a fascinating and highly dangerous terminid, distinguished by its large, gravid abdomen full of eggs and its ability to produce and emit toxic bile. This terminid plays a crucial role in the overall terminid ecosystem, as it likely serves as both a defensive unit and a reproductive agent. While it is not as heavily armored or as aggressively offensive as some other terminids, its presence on the battlefield introduces significant strategic challenges for Helldivers, requiring a nuanced approach to combat and survival. The nursing spewer's physical appearance sets it apart from other terminids. Its distinctive brown and orange coloring makes it relatively easy to identify, and its massive abdomen filled with eggs makes it an even more identifiable target. However, this terminid's primary threat comes from its specialized ability to expel acidic bile onto Helldivers. The bile not only deals immediate damage over time, but also causes a debuff by slowing down the Helldiver, making it easier for the nursing spewer and any nearby terminids to close in for a kill. The bile also creates a toxic cloud, which serves as an environmental hazard for any Helldiver caught within it. This cloud can force Helldivers into a defensive posture, as moving too carelessly could result in significant damage or death. The nursing spewer's defensive role is amplified by its ability to guard its eggs, ensuring that the next generation of terminids has the best chance of survival. In terms of armor, the nursing spewer's physical protection is relatively light compared to other terminids like the bile spewer, which boasts superior armor and offensive power. This lighter armor allows the nursing spewer to move more nimbly across the battlefield, but it also makes it vulnerable to precision weaponry. Its head, mouth, and rear are critical weak points, with the abdomen being a particularly dangerous target. A well-placed shot to the abdomen can cause the nursing spewer to explode, releasing its toxic bile in a wide radius, which can result in the death of surrounding terminids and sometimes even create a chain reaction of explosions if other nursing spewers are nearby. This risk of explosion is a key factor that must be considered when engaging with the nursing spewer, especially in tight confined spaces where escape may be difficult. The nursing spewer's behavior is also something that sets it apart from other terminids. It tends to act as a solitary defender or a support unit in larger terminid swarms, often appearing alongside other creatures like scavengers. Unlike more aggressive terminids like the Brood Commander or Alpha Warrior, which are highly combative and often lead attacks, the nursing spewer's role is more defensive and reproductive. It doesn't aggressively pursue Helldivers, but instead remains stationary in order to protect its eggs and ward off any threats with its bile. However, it will actively seek out threats that get too close, making it a serious danger if left unchecked. As for its place in the terminid hierarchy, the nursing spewer is believed to be either a subadult of the bile spewer or a gravid female. This reproductive aspect of the nursing spewer makes it an important member of the terminid colony, ensuring the continued expansion of their numbers. The presence of eggs in the nursing spewer's abdomen also implies that it may have a direct role in the population control and generation of future Terminid warriors, making it a critical component of the colony's growth. However, unlike the alpha or brood commanders, the nursing spewer's role in the colony is less about direct leadership and more about ensuring the colony's survival through reproduction and defense. When it comes to the nursing spewer's evolution and potential future variants, there is considerable room for speculation. The species could evolve to become even more resilient to damage, with heavier armor or tougher exoskeletons that could make them even harder to eliminate. Additionally, the bile they produce could become more potent, potentially increasing its damage over time and expanding the radius of the toxic cloud they release. There could also be potential for more aggressive variants of the nursing spewer, which may evolve to actively seek out and eliminate helldivers rather than waiting for them to come close. Such variants could introduce a new level of challenge for players, forcing them to rethink their strategies when dealing with these creatures. Given the Terminid's highly adaptive nature, it's possible that future updates could introduce new types of nursing spewers with enhanced capabilities, including better mobility, stronger bile attacks, and possibly even the ability to summon or command other Terminids to assist them. In combat, the nursing spewer poses significant threats due to its ability to release toxic bile and its potential to cause explosions that damage or kill nearby Terminids. The most effective way to counter the nursing spewer is to aim for its vulnerable head or abdomen, which can quickly eliminate it before it can unleash its bile attack. In particular, using high-powered weapons such as railguns, anti-materiel rifles, and grenades is ideal for taking down the nursing spewer efficiently. Weapons with high stagger effects like shotguns are also useful for interrupting its attack animations and allowing for repeated headshots. If there are multiple nursing spewers, it is highly recommended to use area of effect weapons or even orbital strikes to deal with them quickly, as a chain reaction of explosions can decimate entire swarms of these creatures in seconds. One of the key challenges when dealing with the nursing spewer is its ability to spread toxic clouds that hinder helldivers' movement and healing, making it vital to eliminate these threats quickly before they can incapacitate the team. Staying mobile and using cover is essential, as staying too close to the nursing spewer or failing to clear the toxic clouds could result in a slow, agonizing death. As for its interactions with other Terminids, the nursing spewer may work in tandem with other creatures, such as scavengers or even bile spitters, to create a defensive perimeter or to slow down the progress of helldivers. It is essential to recognize that the nursing spewer is not merely a solitary threat, but part of a larger ecosystem within the Terminid colony, meaning that players need to be vigilant about other creatures that may be aiding it in its defense. By recognizing the broader tactical implications of these creatures' roles within the Terminid hierarchy, helldivers can form better strategies to neutralize these threats more effectively. In the vast and inhospitable landscapes where Terminids thrive, a strange yet sophisticated hierarchy emerges, primarily driven by genetic composition and pheromonal communication. Outside the confines of Super Earth's controlled E710 farms, Terminids form an almost fascistic structure, with the strongest and most dominant individuals, like the brood commanders and alpha commanders, playing a pivotal role in coordinating the swarm. These leaders, through their ability to release specialized pheromones, are capable of issuing basic commands to their underlings, effectively directing large groups of Terminids during hunts or in battle. However, this command structure is fragile. Once in the presence of helldivers, the Terminid swarm often loses cohesion and falls into a frenzy of blind aggression. The normally disciplined forces are overwhelmed by fear, and without the pheromone guidance, they attack indiscriminately, often leading to confusion and chaos in their ranks. Within this horde, certain Terminid variants stand out as being particularly elite, often operating with remarkable autonomy. The Bile Titan and the Impaler, for instance, are known for their solitary patrols, seemingly capable of functioning independently of the swarm if they happen to spawn at key locations like nests or minor points of interest. These creatures do not require the constant reinforcement of a swarm, as their size, strength, and terrifying abilities make them formidable in their own right. In this brutal ecosystem, the nursing spewer plays an integral role. While not as autonomous as the likes of the Bile Titan or Impaler, it is crucial for the reproduction and survival of the Terminid species, Its bloated abdomen, swollen with eggs, highlights its biological purpose of propagating the swarm. Often seen alongside scavengers or as part of a larger Terminid patrol, the Nursing Spewer provides valuable protection to its young by launching acidic bile at approaching threats, most notably helldivers. Its presence ensures the continuation of the Terminid cycle, though its defensive abilities also make it a deadly threat in the context of a swarm. In the greater web of Terminid survival, the Nursing Spewer's role as both protector and incubator of the species exemplifies the complex layers of Terminid hierarchy. While not a direct leader like the brood commander, it still plays an important role in ensuring the success of the swarm. Without these defensive figures, the more vulnerable aspects of the Terminid life cycle, like the next generation of Terminids growing within the Nursing Spewer, would face an even greater threat from helldivers and other hostile factions. In conclusion, the Nursing Spewer is an intriguing and multifaceted Terminid, offering both challenges and insights into the broader Terminid ecosystem. Its ability to defend its eggs and itself with toxic bile and explosive death makes it a key strategic element that must be dealt with swiftly. As new variants and evolutions are likely to appear in future updates, players should continue to study the behaviors and weaknesses of this Terminid in order to stay ahead of the game. What do you think of the Nursing Spewer and its role in the Terminid hierarchy? How do you typically handle these creatures in battle, and what strategies do you employ to neutralize their threat? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth analyses of Terminid species and their place in the Helldivers universe.